The Red Sox are actually in a better spot to fill Alex Bregman's shoes offensively than you may think, and I'm here to tell you exactly why.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. I'm your host, Gabby Maljanian, former ESPN social media associate and currently the host of the Boston Balling podcast as well. And I am here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox, Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite podcast feed. And the best part, it's free. So make sure that you tune in because Locked On is here for you every single day. Happy Thursday. Welcome to another episode of the show. And we are just getting closer and closer to opening day. And I absolutely cannot wait. And the other day I posted on Twitter basically asking people about what they want to hear about on the show. So if you are interested in answering that, I will give you a shout out on the show if you come up with a topic that you want me to talk about, and I will definitely talk about it on the show. On yesterday's show, I did a segment on the Red Sox bullpen and where that stands. Big shout out to Red Surge on Twitter for suggesting that at Red Surge Sowell is his Twitter handle. So shout out there as well for coming up with that topic. But if you have ideas or anything you want to hear about, please definitely let me know and I will 100% build an episode topic around it. So speaking of the show, on today's show, we're going to be talking about the fact that the Red Sox obviously lost out on Alex Bregman. What does that mean moving forward for this Red Sox team? And is there anybody in this Red Sox lineup who can fill those shoes in terms of his offensive productivity, as well as looking a little bit more in depth at the utility options that the Red Sox have on the roster right now and going for a record prediction for this Red Sox team heading into 2026. So losing Alex Bregman was a big topic of conversation for the Red Sox this offseason. It really kind of clouded a lot of other moves that they did make that were positive to improve this team. And there's no doubt about the fact that the Red Sox improved this team from a pitching perspective. 100%, I'm really looking forward to seeing how this pitching staff performs this upcoming season. But on the flip side of that, it's difficult to say that their offense is at max of where it could be. Like, the potential is certainly there for this Red Sox offense, but where it's at right now, you can't necessarily say is what we were hoping for going into the season. So with that being said, Alex Bregman provided so many things to this Red Sox team. Off the field leadership, which is something that you don't get from every player. Just the veteran presence that he provides is something that not every player in baseball brings to the table. And just the way he was able to truly act as a mentor to a lot of the younger athletes on this team, it goes without saying that that's going to be missed because there isn't really somebody that provides that level of leadership this year. On the field, obviously one of the best defensive third basemen in baseball, so his defense will certainly be missed. And at the plate, he definitely provided some value. He hit 18 home runs and collected a total of 62 RBIs last year. So shout out to Joshua Brown on Twitter for coming up with this topic at JA Brown_34. So shout out to him too. He said how many current players on the 40-man are capable of doing that, as in filling Alex Bregman's shoes, if they were given full-time starting roles. And then in parentheses, not that they will do that, just are they capable of it? So this is a good question because that bar that Alex Bregman set, was he a good, productive player for this team? Yes, but was he so over the top above everybody to the point where it's this blatant huge loss? No. I mean, 18 home runs is definitely doable. Now, that being said, do the Red Sox lack some power in this lineup? Yes. But do they have players who could match up to what Bregman brought to the table? Also, yes, 18 home runs when you think about that. So the Red Sox last season had Trevor Story and Wilyer Abreu. They were the only two players that hit more than 20 home runs last year. So to be exact, from a stats perspective, Trevor Story played in 157 games last year, where he hit 263 with 25 home runs, 96 RBIs, 91 runs, and 31 stolen bases. This was really a season in which he revived his career with a 24% strikeout rate and a 741 OPS to become the third shortstop in Red Sox history to record a 20-plus home run and 20-plus stolen base season. I mean, the amount of fun I had watching Trevor Story last year was a lot. I mean, I was hoping for a good season from him when he was finally healthy, but he definitely surpassed expectations. And I'm really excited to see what he does going into 2026, because if he can stay healthy, hopefully he can have that type of season again. Again, health is going to be a big thing for him, and we know injuries are part of the game. So obviously you can't predict those, but assuming that Trevor Story does stay healthy, he, to me, is 100% a player who could help fill the shoes lost by Alex Bregman last year. And it's not a one-for-one, okay, Trevor Story is automatically going to replace what Alex Bregman did, but you have to look at the full picture of what it could be and who could potentially fill that spot. So to me, because we saw Trevor Story provide some of that power last year, I do think he's a guy who is going to drive in a lot of runs, at least if he's healthy, and be able to provide that offense that the Red Sox need. Another player who I already mentioned was Wilyer Abreu. Last season in 115 games, he batted .247 with 22 home runs, 69 RBIs, and a 786 OPS. He continued his emergence as a reliable, high-power outfielder, recording 373 at-bats, 53 runs scored, and 6 stolen bases. Now, the other thing with Wilyer Abreu that I want to talk about is injuries. Similar to Trevor Story, he's a player that I have a little bit of concerns about staying healthy, but we can't talk about, this player could get injured, because you just never really know. So this is running under the assumption that players stay healthy. If they stay healthy, Wilyer Abreu to me is no doubt a guy who I'm hoping is going to continue to elevate his game offensively. So if you take the combination of him and Trevor Story, you feel like you're at least filling some of those offensive shoes that Alex Bregman leaves behind by going to the Cubs. Wilyer, I'm really excited about. Defensively, he has it all. Offensively, was one of the most steady hitters on this team last season. So there's no reason to think that he can't continue that going into 2026. Then there's Roman Anthony. This is a player who I'm very excited about. There's a lot of raw power there, and he hasn't unlocked that yet necessarily at the major league level. But what if he unlocks that in 2026? What if Roman goes into this upcoming season and finds that power that we saw from him in the minors? Then there's no doubt about it to me that he could be a 20-plus home run guy. And when you think about it, if you have 3 players on this team between Trevor Story, Wilyer Abreu, and Roman Anthony who can all hit 20-plus home runs, that's even better than what you had in Alex Bregman, who hit 18 home runs. Now, that being said, there are a lot of question marks with that. Are Wilyer and Story going to be able to stay healthy? Is Roman going to actually be able to unlock that power aspect of his game? Now, one thing that goes along with power is also being able to drive in runs consistently. And because they have speed with Trevor Story and Roman Anthony, those guys can help drive in runs if they are able to be aggressive and be able to have those kinds of plate approaches where they're not afraid to swing the baseball. Now, can't go super swing happy like we've seen from Cedar Rafaela, but I do feel like if you're making contact, even if it's not a home run, good things happen when you put the ball in play. And if there's a runner on base and Trevor Story or Roman Anthony hits a weaker ground ball to the infield, they could beat that out, and then all of a sudden a runner could score. So they can make things happen, and with their athleticism, I do feel like they are guys who could surpass what we saw from Bregman in 2025. Another intriguing option to me is Jarren Duran. This is a guy to me who has such potential to unlock this new aspect of his game and get back to what we saw from him in 2024. Jarren Duran, no doubt about it, is one of the most valuable overall players in baseball because of what he provides. He just provides a lot of versatility and athleticism. He can get on base a lot. He can steal bases. He has the speed. He has the defensive ability to play a sound outfield. And In left field, he didn't play as good of defense as he did in center, but that's primarily where he's going to play unless he's DHing. But Jarren Duran, the season he had in 2024, if he can find a semblance of that at the plate in 2026, I absolutely think he could join that 18 plus home run club as well, or at least be a guy who's going to drive in a lot of runs, again, because of the fact that he's versatile and he has that athleticism. So he, to me, is somebody who falls into that category who has the potential to match up with where Bregman was at. The other player I specifically wanted to mention was Willson Contreras. Willson Contreras has been one of the most consistent hitters in baseball over the last few seasons. So if there's anybody that I feel confident in being able to hit at least home runs, it's him. Now, from the standpoint of other aspects of his game, he doesn't necessarily provide that same level of athleticism as some of these other players do that I mentioned on here, but the RBIs will rack themselves up for him if he is able to maximize the ability of his bat at Fenway, which I do truly feel like is very strong. He's somebody whose bat is tailor-made for a place like Fenway Park, and because he has a strong ability to pull the ball, he can go and hit doubles off that Fenway Park wall and be able to continue to drive and run. So those are the primary players on this Red Sox team right now that I feel could be in that mix to match up to where Alex Bregman was. Is there potential from other players? For sure. We need to see more, to me, from Marcelo Meyer, and Cedar Rafaela needs to improve at the plate a little bit more. Carlos Narvaez, I think it's too small of a sample size right now. The potential certainly is there because he had a really good first half of the season last year, not as much of a strong second half. So I'm curious which version of him we are going to get. But if we get that first half version of Carlos Narvaez, he is also capable of being in this category. Tristan Casas, if he comes back healthy, definitely a sneaker pick to be a guy who could contribute in that way, joining the 18 plus home run club and recording 60 plus RBIs if he's healthy and he's able to get to his max potential, which we haven't seen yet. So lots of players on that list, but the Red Sox could make up for what they're missing in Alex Bregman in other ways, because you don't need that one player to be able to be that game changer for the team. You can have multiple players on the roster who bring different aspects of their game to the table to then collectively combine to make up for what you're missing in Bregman. Now, from an off-field perspective, I already said they may not get that value back, but what he provided on the field, you can get in other players as long as they are stepping up to the plate and actually doing their job. So lots of question marks still when it comes to this Red Sox offense. Is Alex Bregman going to be missed? Yes, but it's not as much of a terrible situation that they don't have him here anymore as you think it is. I think this lineup has a ton of potential, and hopefully we can see that put on display this upcoming season, because the lineup to me is definitely the area that has the most question marks on this Red Sox team right now as we head into this season. So we'll see how that all plays out. But coming up, I'm going to be going over the utility players that the Red Sox could be utilizing this upcoming season. MLB opening day is almost here, and you can feel it. Fresh starts, big expectations, and that first crack of the bat. Whether it's a breakout rookie or a division race that goes down to the wire, there's nothing like being in the ballpark for it. The only problem, getting tickets can feel like a grind. Long queues, surprise fees, prices jumping at checkout. That's where there's Game Time. The Game Time app gives fans the advantage with constant innovation. It's how you unlock amazing tickets and experiences in just a few taps. The seat views feature is also huge. You can see the panoramic view from your exact seat before you buy. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. I've used Game Time numerous times, and now I literally don't use any other ticketing vendor, so I highly recommend you use it 100%. Also, thanks so much for making Locked On Red Sox your first listen of every single day, and for helping to make Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. Baseball is back, and you can lock in by joining the Everydayer Club, which gets you ad-free episodes and access to a group chat on Discord, strictly for listeners of this show. This week only, you can use code SPRING for a free month. go to lockedonredsox.supercast.com or tap the link in the show notes. That's right. Strictly listeners of this show on the Discord channel, you'll get access to that, ad-free episodes, as well as some exclusive content if you subscribe to the all access tier. So make sure you head to that today and check it out. We're almost at opening day. The countdown has officially arrived. And as we sit here and think about and get excited about opening day, we also look at where the Red Sox roster is at right now. And right before opening day, I am going to be dropping an episode where I just preview the Red Sox roster, where it's at, what we should be concerned about, and who's going to likely play where. So you won't want to miss that closer to opening day. But the Red Sox did do a lot this offseason to really improve their depth. That was one of the biggest things that they focused on. And the utility options, players who are they going to utilize in more of an everyday role or more of a as needed type of role? Those are questions surrounding some of these players going into 2026. Now, the Red Sox have had Romy Gonzalez for a while, who is a truly reliable utility player. The nice thing about him is they can kind of move him around. He can play in the infield where it's needed, and that's what a utility player does. They have the ability to play all around the field, whether that's an outfield utility player or an infield utility player, or somebody does both. That's kind of the shoes that Rob Refsnyder filled for the outfield. Romy kind of fills that for the infield, and his biggest asset is that he crushes lefties. He has a .302 batting average with 15 home runs and 51 RBIs and 357 plate appearances against left-handed pitchers in his career. And the Red Sox need a guy like that in the lineup, a guy who is able to crush lefties. And I talked about Romy a little bit on the show recently, how he's likely not going to be ready for opening day. The Red Sox are still monitoring it, but he's dealing with an injury that kind of carried over from the end of last season. So if he's not ready for opening day, there are other options they may utilize to take his spot temporarily. But as soon as Romy's healthy, he's going to be a player who's going to contribute. They are not going to be able to go every single day without giving one of their infielders a break. So say Marcelo Meyer and Caleb Durbin both start in the infield, they're going to need off days. So that's where Romy comes in. Or if there's a lefty on the mound, I could very easily see the Red Sox saying, okay, Marcelo, you struggled a lot against lefties last season, so we're going to have Romy hit when there's a left-handed pitcher on the mound instead, so that you can continue to get those reps in and be able to get to the point where you are feeling like you're not putting as much pressure on yourself. Because if you're a young player, for example, like Marcelo Meyer, and you are trying to continue to improve and develop, you want to get those reps in your weaker areas. So he would want to get reps in against lefties, but in games when you're trying to win, you want to put the best lineup out there. And Romy Gonzalez is somebody who you can put in there and you know he's going to be able to hit left-handed pitching. So that's one of the biggest reasons why Romy provides a lot of value to this team, is because he's able to hit against left-handed pitching. They also have Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, who they signed to a 1-year, $6 million deal with the Red Sox for the 2026 season to serve as a versatile veteran utility infielder. The deal does include an additional $500,000 in potential performance bonuses based on plate appearances. He's expected to play shortstop, third base, and second base. So he's another player who can play all around the infield. Not exactly the best offensive player, but he is a sound defender who can provide some of that defensive depth. So potentially a high-cost option for the role. He is coming off a season where he hit .262 with 2 homers and 40 RBIs, having played for both Pittsburgh and Toronto. So obviously not a super power heavy hitter, not somebody who's going to really provide a lot of value offensively. But he's a 30-year-old veteran, and he's a guy who is known to bring a lot of clubhouse camaraderie, a guy who can be looked at as a good clubhouse leader. And that's something that the Red Sox feel like they're lacking without Alex Bregman. And like I said in the first segment of today's show, I don't think they're necessarily going to get to the point where they're truly going to be able to replace what Alex Bregman brought to that clubhouse from a leadership perspective, but at least they are bringing in a guy who is also known for that, so he can hopefully help be a strong mentor to the younger players. Because you have guys like Marcelo Meyer and Roman Anthony who really looked up to Alex Bregman and his mentorship, and they felt like they became better players because of him. It's always good to have guys like that in the clubhouse, and if IKF can bring some of that to the table, that would be really good for a Boston Red Sox team that's really looking to fill some of those shoes. So IKF, his value primarily is going to be a guy who is a utility infielder, comes off the bench, maybe takes some at-bats and gives some guys some rest, but primarily is going to be a good defense-first player who's going to be able to provide that value in the infield that the Red Sox need and can also be a good clubhouse leader. So that's another option when it comes to utility. Then there's Nate Eaton, who the Red Sox actually really like and feel like provides a lot of value. And the biggest thing for him that I really like is that he truly is super versatile. For one, he has speed, and that's something that the Red Sox really value. They are happy that Jarren Duran has speed, Cedar Rafaela, Nate Eaton, when he's playing, also can provide that value of putting that pressure on opposing pitchers by being fast and turning singles into extra base hits, which the Red Sox really like. So that's something that I really like. He's entering his age 29 season with pre-arbitration eligibility. Following a 2025 season where he played in 41 games for the Red Sox, he is projected to be a key utility option this year. So when I say utility, though, again, that doesn't mean he's going to play all the time, but he can play right field, third base, and center field. So since Wilyer Abreu and Cedar Rafaela are expected to be everyday players, eventually one of them is going to need an off day. So in that case, you could slot Nate Eaton into the outfield in one of those two spots and play for them and provide that value off the bench. Early projections for this upcoming season suggest a batting average of around 240 for Eaton, with limited power reflecting a decrease from his performance a little bit last season. Again, a small sample size. He did spend some of the season in AAA and got called up due to injury, so we can't really fully draw a conclusion on what he can do in 2026. But because he provides speed and also defensive flexibility in terms of where he plays, he's going to be a valuable depth piece that the Red Sox are going to be looking at to provide a lot of value going into the season. So they're essentially looking at three primary options here with Romy, IKF, and Eaton. And there's a lot of questions surrounding who's going to be utilized where. And none of these guys, to me, are going to be everyday players. All of these guys are going to be more of depth utility options, two of them primarily for the infield in Romy and IKF, and one in the outfield for Nate Eaton. And I know I keep mentioning injuries, but it's so true. It is part of the game, and you do unfortunately kind of have to plan for injuries to occur. And if that's the case, you have good options of players who could slot in there. And do they create their best lineup with these guys? Not necessarily, no. But what I am excited about is to see the way that these guys are able to intermix when they are called upon to play. So they all provide different characteristics that are going to be valuable for this Red Sox team. And it's good to have those options off the bench who could play in multiple spots, because you do know, unfortunately, that there is going to be somebody who gets hurt. Now, Nate Eaton is young. He's a guy who we may expect to see some young mistakes from. He made a couple clueless mistakes last year on the base paths, and I'm anticipating that we may get some more of that from him. But now that he has more of a taste of the majors, we could see him be able to push some of those away, some of those fears, and be able to not make as many of those mistakes. So I'm looking to him to do that. There's also an interesting choice in Nick Sogard, who really was a key in the Red Sox postseason run last year. Obviously, they fell in the wild card series against the Yankees, but Nate Eaton and Nick Sogard both contributed in different ways. Nick Sogard really good offensively. He was a guy who was able to come up big and get some big hits down the stretch when the Red Sox were trying to clinch a playoff spot, and also in that playoff series. He was making good contact, so you have to wonder if they kind of keep him around as a utility option. Again, they need to make sure that it makes sense logistically and that there's room, but Nick Sogard to me is somebody who could be an easy option to bring right back into the fold if one of their everyday players gets hurt. So now you're looking at a fourth option as utility who could be a serviceable piece that you utilize on this team. So I really like Nick Sogard, and I like the value he provided last year. Really small sample size again with both him and Eaton. But if somebody gets hurt and one of them ends up being the next man up, I could see them balling out because they have the work ethic and they're playing for a spot on the team and getting more playing time. So they're going to always give 100%. So I'm excited to see the young guys in action and how they perform. And Romy and IKF as utility options definitely also make sense. So we'll see how that all plays out. But coming up, what is my record prediction for the Red Sox going into 2026? Just a reminder that you can subscribe to Locked On Red Sox on any podcast platform, including YouTube, as I am here Monday through Friday to discuss the latest and all things going on with this team. So make sure that you're hitting that subscribe button there. Also follow me on social media, on Twitter at Gabby Maljanian, on Instagram at Gabby_Maljanian10, and you can follow the show on Twitter at LO_Red Sox. So I will be available on all of those social media platforms. You should also subscribe to the Everydayer Club All Access tier if you want to get all access episodes that you won't find anywhere else, and one-on-one texting with me directly to get all of your Red Sox related questions answered. So make sure you use that promo code SPRING and get a free subscription for a month to see if you like it. Well, opening day is almost here, and as we look ahead to where this upcoming season could go for the Red Sox, it could go in a lot of different directions. They definitely have the capability of being a playoff team. The pitching is going to win them games, no doubt about it. They really worked hard to improve the rotation this offseason. I'm really excited to see how that rotation performs come March 26th and beyond. There are still questions with the offense, and that is why I am a little bit hesitant to put them higher than I'm going to put them in a minute in terms of my record prediction for this upcoming season, because a lot of things do have to go right in order for them to 100% truly be able to contend. And to me, that entails being able to have guys who can make solid contact and guys who are able to live up to the expectations that the Red Sox front office has for them. And to me, guys like Roman Anthony needs to have a big season, as well as Jarren Duran. They're hoping he gets back to 2024 form. They're hoping guys like Cedar Rafaela, Carlos Narvaez, and Wilyer Abreu continue to take a leap. They're hoping Trevor Story is going to be healthy to really be able to help anchor this offense. And they're hoping to see improvements from Marcelo Meyer and Caleb Durbin. But this is a young offense overall. Willson Contreras is going to be a good hitter. That was a good addition to this team, but they still haven't gotten that full power proven bat with a lot of oomph. So that's one thing that I am looking at when it comes to this upcoming season. The potential is there for the Red Sox to win their division and make a World Series run if everybody performs at the level that the front office is hoping they'll perform at. But the key there is that what they're hoping they will do is different from what they actually might do. And because there are question marks surrounding that offense, they could struggle a little bit to get to the point where they are genuinely a contender to win their division. So this is where I am at with this. So my record prediction right now for the Red Sox is 90-72. Now, I know this feels like it might be a little bit low. And by the way, shout out to Sean McKenty on Twitter, who suggested this topic as something that he wanted to hear me talk about. At Utown Warrior is his Twitter handle. He said, where do you see the Red Sox record this season? I have them at 92-70. I think that's a very reasonable record prediction as well. They very easily could win 92 wins if all goes well. And 90 wins might feel like a letdown to you because it's only one more win than they had last season when you want to feel like they're a much better team. But the division has also gotten better, and it's hard to say, yeah, they're going to be drastically better when they haven't fully completed the offense, and there's a lot of question marks in it. Now, granted, if everybody hits their ceiling, this Red Sox team potentially could win up to 95 games even. But to me, if I'm looking at this roster right now and I'm incorporating the fact that they may not have some guys get to the point that they want them to get to in 2026. Guys like Sadon, who may not elevate his game at the plate as much as they want him to, or Roman Anthony with all the pressure on him this year. Is he going to go through a sophomore slump, or is he going to continue to elevate that? Or Carlos Narvaez, are we going to get first half of the season Narvaez, or are we going to get second half Narvaez? Lots of question marks surrounding this lineup right now and where it's going to be. But because the pitching is going to win them lots of games, I feel pretty confident in being able to say that they'll win at least 90 games. So I have them at 90 and 72, but we'll have to see what record they do end up with. Do I think this is a playoff team? Absolutely. I think this is a team that's being a little bit underestimated and maybe a little bit slept on because of how good the pitching staff is. If you have a pitching staff that's that good, that can win you games. And granted, they need to be able to score runs as well. And that's another goal in Major League Baseball. So obviously we want to hope that they are going to be able to score runs on a regular basis consistently as well. But I do like the idea of them winning 90 games, maybe winning their division. I still put Toronto a little bit above them, which, by the way, if you didn't tune in last week, I put the Red Sox up head to head against each of their division rivals and kind of compared where they are at relative to those teams. So if you want to hear that, check out last week's episodes. So I still have Toronto a little bit above them, but I do think the Red Sox could finish second in the division and go to the playoffs and potentially make a deep run if they really turn things on in the postseason. Are they better than the Yankees? Maybe not. I think that's going to be close. I think both of those teams have strong assets that they bring to the table. Obviously, I hope that the Red Sox are a better team than the Yankees, but that one could go either way to me. So I'm excited to see how it all plays out, but 90 and 72 is the record I have for them for this upcoming season. So I am excited to see what happens there. But thanks so much, as always, for tuning into the show and making it your first listen of every single day. Subscribe and follow so you get all of the latest episodes. And if you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On Red Sox ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to LockedOnRedSox.supercast.com to join the club. For those of you on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 national Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen Locked On Fantasy Baseball as you gear up for the MLB season. Thanks so much, as always, for tuning in. Keep the faith, go Red Sox, and I'll catch you on the flip side.